Find me an HVT. Something that'll provide a challenge.
Security objective.
What is up, my flockers? It's the Birdman coming at you with another commentary here. So before I get into the actual commentary, or before I get into the topic, and I know I struggle to get into the topics right away, so I will get there. I wanted to let you guys know, and I think I said it in my last video, if you want to see a certain gameplay with a gun, a certain specialist, a certain game type, throw that in the comments. Like, we want these videos to kind of be interactive. We want to interact with our subs. We want them to have kind of a say in some of our content, and we thought that this was the best way to do it. So put those comments down there, but a little bit of disclaimer until I get my stuff set up. Right now I'm on Sneak's set up for gaming. I'm getting my own done so I can do some of my own recordings at my place. But until then, we knock out a couple of commentaries right in a row. So if you do leave some comments, we will, comment back at you right away. But those gameplays that you want to see and those game types that you want us to play, those won't be recorded or be done for a couple of videos. So don't get frustrated. It's just because we knock out a bunch of videos. We upload those throughout the week, and then once we run out of those videos, then we do some more. So I promise, whatever you comment, whatever you want us to play, we will do it. Just give us a little bit of time. So I'll get right into the topic. It's a crazy show on Netflix right now that everyone's talking about, Making a Murderer. Everyone's got their opinion, everyone's got their ideas. I have my own, and I wanted to talk about them because I think a lot of people are watching it right now and are very interested in what people have to think and say about it. So, spoiler alert, I have watched the whole show. I'm going to talk about the whole show. I'm going to go into details from every episode. So if you haven't seen it, or if you're planning on seeing it, or if you just don't even care, click off this video. I don't want to be spoiling anybody's time, especially if you're halfway through it. Like, I don't want to do that to you. So if you're watching it, click off this video because I'm going to be talking about it. Cool. So first off, I'm going to kind of give you an outframe of the show because I want to kind of set it up to talk about what I think happened. I'm assuming the people who are still watching it already know, but I'll knock it out really quick. Stephen Avery lives in Manawha County, was originally framed for, I think it was rape or murder or something before, spent 18 years in prison. There was a ton of evidence showing that he was not the person who actually did it, and they still went ahead and left him in prison all this time, still convicted him, still said that this was the guy because he did have a record before. Part of his record before was he would do something, he would say he was guilty, he would do his time like he should, and he would be done. Well, he says he doesn't do this for 18 years. Finally, after 18 years, they get the technology to do DNA testing, and they prove that it's not him. And not only that, they get a call 10 years into his conviction, where he's in prison, from another police department saying that they are pretty sure that they have the guy who actually did what they say Stephen Avery did, and that they had the wrong guy in prison. That was in 1995. He gets out in 2003, and then that call is reported in 2003. That doesn't make any sense at all. Why would it be reported 8 years earlier? Or were they trying to cover their tracks to show that they did report it and that they had it on file, right? So right there, that's kind of shady. He gets out, blah blah blah, for whatever amount of time, ends up saying he's going to sue the county for something like 32 some odd millions of dollars. Based on the circumstances of what happened, the insurance companies that protect these departments say that if they get sued, they're not going to cover this because under their guidelines, this doesn't fall into something that the insurance companies would have to cover. So the county would have to pay that out. Now, fast forward 2 or 3 months, all of a sudden, there's a murder of someone called Teresa Hallbuck, or she goes missing, and they're not sure if she's been murdered yet or not. Who becomes suspect number one right away from the police department? Stephen Avery. Why would he become suspect number one? What had he done? Well, he had worked with her previously because he has a salvage yard and puts cars up on Auto Trader. She works for Auto Trader. She comes out, takes pictures, puts them in the book for people to see. Comes out, takes pictures of her van. So eventually they find her RAV4 that they were looking for that had been missing in his salvage yard. So right there to me is a little fishy. Why would he put a car, if he murdered somebody, her car, in his salvage yard? Like, he probably has other means, considering he has a salvage yard, to get rid of that car. One was right there in his salvage yard, was the car compactor. Instead of crushing it down and putting it somewhere else with the tractors and stuff that he has, he puts it in the back of his salvage yard, just covered up with a few tarps. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So then they start going through the trial. One of the police officers involved in the first trial calls in a car with the same license plate 3 days before they find it in his salvage yard. How does that make any sense? So he called it in, not from his salvage yard. He was in some random spot when he called in this license plate that he thought it was hers. And then that doesn't really go anywhere. Like, they don't release that information. And then 3 days later they find the car, the RAV4, in his salvage yard, which has blood in the back of the car, has DNA evidence in the back of the car. And guess what their whole story was of convicting him during the trial? That she went into his trailer, they bound her down in the trailer, they did some horrible stuff in the trailer, which should have led to a ton of bleeding in her trailer, and then took her back behind his garage to dispose of the body by burning it. So why would there be blood in the back of her truck in a RAV4? Why was no blood or DNA evidence found in his house if that's where she was so brutally injured? There would have been blood everywhere. Not a single thing found. They find a key to her RAV4 in his house next to his bed after how many searches? 7. 7 searches, and it took them to find a key that only had her DNA evidence on it. Think about that. Or only had his DNA evidence on it. Someone who uses a key on a daily basis to start their car, has it on them at all times, is interacting with other people. Not a speck of her DNA evidence was found on the key, but only Stephen Avery's. So let's go to where his blood came from. So they end up going and finding a evidence box where they took blood from him when he originally went for his sentence, which has been cut open. It's been taped back together. The blood vial has a thermodynamic needle hole size pin drop thing in the top of the vial. So there's a tiny little hole, like almost like someone extracted blood from it, in the top of that vial, placed it back, taped it back up. Now, I hear there's some sort of evidence or some sort of expert disputing the fact that that's how blood vials are. Why in the world would blood vials have a tiny hole in the top of it? Someone can explain to me in the comments how that makes any sense. Why? It just doesn't make any sense. Evidence throughout the case was just crazy. So I know this video is wrapping up, and hopefully I'm not rambling, because it frustrates me that's how some places are and that this happens to people. But I don't think the police killed her. I think they found her car with her already dead in the back of it and used that as an opportunity to frame a man who was going to win millions of dollars from them that they were going to have to pay out because the insurance wasn't going to cover it. I think that they used the RAV4. I think they drove it over, planted the evidence that they needed to, put the burned her body in the quarry like they were talking about, moved it over to his place, and set everything up. You know, the police officers weren't supposed to be involved in the search, planted the key, the whole thing. So that is my complete opinion, and I hope he gets out. And I think it's completely sad that that's what truly happens sometimes in our justice system. Is unfortunately our justice system is only governed by people, and people are flawed, and they have their own agendas and their own things that they're working towards. So let me know what you guys think. Throw your opinions of what actually happened in the case and what you think happened, and I would love to respond to them. So thank you, and peace out, my flockers.